Tears in the tower, the fluorescent lights of the 42nd floor buzzed softly, casting sterile white reflections across the polished marble of Blackstone Enterprises. Sophia Chen pressed her back against the cold bathroom stall door, her breath coming in shaky gasps. The designer handbag she carried, a cheap knockoff bought from a street vendor, trembled in her grip as tears spilled down her cheeks. At 26, Sophia had clawed her way up from nothing. State university scholarship, 3 part-time jobs, and endless nights of studying had landed her what she thought was her dream job. But Richard Morrison, her department head, had made it his mission to break her. Today had been the final blow. "You had 3 weeks for this presentation, Chen," Richard had sneered earlier that morning. "But since you clearly can't handle it, maybe you should start looking for another job." She had stayed up for 48 hours straight, scrambling to pull together a 5-year financial forecast in just 3 hours. And when she presented it to the board, including the intimidating David Blackstone, her voice had faltered. The numbers blurred. The executives exchanged glances, and David's sharp green eyes had cut through her like a blade. "Thank you, Miss Chen. That will be all." Dismissed. Humiliated. A failure. Now curled on the bathroom floor, she let the sobs rack her body. Her parents' hopeful faces flashed in her mind, her father's worn hands counting her paychecks. Her younger brother's college applications waiting for her help. She had promised them a better life. She was failing. A soft knock at the door startled her. "Excuse me," a deep voice said. "Is everything all right in there?" Sophia froze. She knew that voice. David Blackstone. Her CEO was standing outside the women's bathroom. Fine," she choked out, wiping her tears frantically. There was a pause. Then, quieter, "Miss Chen, I'd like to talk. May I come in?" Her heart hammered. This was insane. But something in his tone, gentle, not mocking, made her unlock the door. David stepped inside, his tall frame filling the space. He had loosened. His tie, his dark hair slightly messy, as if he'd been running his hands through it. His green eyes, usually so unreadable in meetings, now held concern. "The presentation wasn't your fault," he said bluntly. Sophia blinked. "What?" "Morrison was supposed to assign that project weeks ago. He set you up to fail." David's jaw tightened. "I've been watching your work. You're the best analyst. In that department? Maybe in this entire company?" Her breath hitched. No one had ever said that to her. "I want you working directly with me," he continued. "No more Morrison, no more sabotage." Sophia's pulse raced. This was a lifeline. But why? She whispered, "Why me?" David stepped closer. His call and something expensive and woodsy wrapped around her. "Because when I saw you in that boardroom," he murmured, "you reminded me of myself, fighting to prove you belong." His gaze dropped to her lips, just for a second. "I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since." The air between them crackled. Sophia's skin burned where his fingers brushed hers. This was dangerous, forbidden. But as his thumb traced her knuckles, she realized she didn't want to pull away. Sophia's new office was nothing like her old cubicle. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city skyline, the morning sun painting gold streaks across her desk. The space was sleek modern furniture, a high-backed leather chair, and a coffee, a machine that probably cost more than her rent. But the most striking feature was the glass wall separating her from David Blackstone's private office. She could see him, right now. His broad shoulders tense as he spoke into the phone, his sharp jawline shadowed by the faintest stubble. A knock at her door snapped her attention away. Victoria Hayes, her former cubicle neighbor and only real friend in the company, leaned against the doorframe with a knowing smirk. "So, the CEO's personal analyst?" Sophia's cheeks warmed. "It's just a job transfer." Hem. Victoria set down a coffee Sophia's usual order and dropped into the chair across from her. "A job transfer that comes with this view?" She gestured at David's office. "Girl, half the women in this building would sell a kidney for 5 minutes alone with him." Sophia sipped her coffee, avoiding Victoria's gaze. "Not like that? Then why are you blushing?" Before she could answer, the intercom buzzed. "Sophia." David's voice, smooth and commanding, filled the room. My office? Now? Victoria's eyebrows shot up. Sophia swallowed hard. David's office was even more imposing up close. The scent of leather and cedar wrapped around her as she stepped. Inside, he stood by the window, silhouetted against the skyline, his tailored suit emphasizing the lean strength of his frame. "Close the door," he said without turning. She did. The click of the latch sounded too loud in the silence. "You've been here a week," he said finally, pivoting to face her. His green eyes were unreadable. "And you haven't made a single mistake." Sophia blinked. "Is that bad?" Faint smirk tugged at his lips. "It's unusual." He moved closer, his voice lowering. "Most people crack under pressure when they start working directly with me. But you?" His gaze traced her face. "You thrive." Her pulse skittered. He was standing too close. She could see the faint scar above his eyebrow, the way his tie was slightly loosened at the throat. "I don't like failing," she admitted. David's expression darkened.
"Either do I."
He reached past her, his arm brushing hers as he grabbed a file from his desk. Contact sent a jolt of heat through her. "Which is why I need you on this." He handed her the folder. Inside was a confidential acquisition proposal. Blackstone Enterprises was buying out a rival firm. "This is highly sensitive," he finished, "and I trust you with it." Sophia's breath caught. This wasn't just busy work. This was real power, real influence. "Why me?" she whispered. David's thumb grazed her wrist, sending a shiver up her arm. "Because I see what others don't." His voice dropped to a murmur. "And because I want to." The air between them thickened. Then a sharp knock at the door. They sprang apart just as Richard Morrison strode in, his beady eyes flicking between them. "Am I interrupting?" he sneered. David's expression turned icy. "What do you want, Richard?" Morrison ignored him, focusing on Sophia. "I just came to congratulate our rising star." His smile was venomous. "Funny how fast some people climb when they're motivated." Sophia's stomach twisted. She knew what he was implying. David stepped between them, his voice lethally. "Get out." Morrison hesitated, then left with a mocking salute. The moment the door closed, Sophia exhaled shakily. "He's going to tell everyone we'll let him." David turned to her, his gaze burning. "I don't care what they think." Her heart pounded. "But the company is mine." He cupped her face, his thumb brushing her lower lip. "And so are my choices." Then he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was claiming hot, desperate, like he'd been holding back for weeks. Sophia melted into him, her fingers tangling in his hair as he backed her against the desk. A moan escaped her when his teeth grazed her neck. David growled against her skin. "You have no idea what you do to me." Then the intercom buzzed again. "Mr. Blackstone," his assistant's voice. "The board is waiting." They froze. Reality crashed back in. David pulled away, his breathing ragged. His gaze locked on hers, dark with promise. "This isn't over." The rumors started within hours. Sophia could feel the stares as she walked through the office. The next morning, the hushed conversations that died when she passed, the smirks from Morrison's team. She's sleeping her way to the top. No wonder. She got promoted so fast. Victoria pulled her into the break room, her grip tight on Sophia's wrist. "Okay, spill." "Did you and Blackstone?" Sophia's face burned. "It's not what people think." Victoria gave her a look. "So if the entire finance department is saying he had you pressed against his desk yesterday." Sophia's stomach dropped. Someone had seen them. Her phone buzzed. A text from David. "My office, 7 p.m. No interruptions." Her pulse kicked. Daniel Wright, head of HR, was waiting for her when she returned to her desk. He was a tall, rigid man with cold gray eyes and a reputation for crushing policy violations without mercy. "Miss Chen," he said smoothly. "A word?" The throat went dry. The HR office was sterile, the walls lined with corporate policy binders. Daniel sat across from her, steepling his fingers. "I'll be direct," he said. "There have been concerns raised about your relationship with Mr. Blackstone." Sophia kept her voice steady. "We work closely together, that's all." Daniel slid a folder toward her. Inside were printed emails, anonymous complaints. She's clearly his mistress. He's compromising the company for her. Her hands shook. Blackstone Enterprises has strict policies against supervisors' subordinate relationships, Daniel said. If these allegations are true, the board will demand action. Sophia lifted her chin. Are you accusing me of something? Smile didn't reach his eyes. I'm giving you a choice. Resign quietly, or this goes to the board and everyone will know why. David's office was dark when she arrived that night, lit only by the city skyline through the windows. He stood by the glass, his silhouette tense. Daniel talked to you? Sophia nodded, her voice barely a whisper. He gave me an ultimatum. David turned, his expression fierce. He has no proof. He doesn't need proof. She wrapped her arms around herself. The rumors alone could destroy my career. Shh. David crossed the room in 3 strides, cupping her face. Listen to me. No one is taking you away from me. She wanted to believe him, but the fear clawed at her chest. David, if the board finds out, let me handle the board. His thumb brushed her cheek. Do you trust me? Her breath hitched. Yes. His kiss was desperate, possessive. She clung to him, her fingers twisting in his shirt as he backed her against the desk. Then his phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again and again. With a growl, David grabbed it. What? Pause. His grip tightened. When Sophia watched his face drain of color, he hung up, his voice hollow. Someone leaked photos of us to the press. The headlines screamed across every financial news site by dawn. Blackstone's secret. Fair. Is the billionaire CEO compromising his company for love? Beneath it, a blurred but unmistakable photo David pressing her against his office window. His hands tangled in her hair. Sophia's phone exploded with notifications. Missed calls from her parents? Texts from Victoria? Holy shit, are you okay? But the worst was the email from the board. Emergency meeting, 9 a.m. You are required to attend. The boardroom was a war zone. 12 stone-faced executives sat around the mahogany table, their expressions ranging from disapproval to outright disgust. At the head, Charles Whitmore, the eldest board member and David's late father's closest friend, steepled his fingers. David, he said, voice like gravel, explain this disgrace. David stood at the opposite end, his posture rigid. My personal life is irrelevant to company operations. Whitmore scoffed. When your personal life involves fucking an employee half your age, it becomes everyone's business. Sophia flinched. David's knuckles whitened on the table. Careful, Charles. Whitmore ignored him, turning to Sophia. Miss Chen, did you or did you not enter into a romantic relationship with your direct superior in violation of corporate policy? The room held its breath. Sophia lifted her chin. I never violated any. Answer the question, another board member snapped. David slammed his hands on the table. Enough. If you have an issue, take it up with me. Whitmore leaned back, smug. Very well. Here's the board's decision. Terminate Miss Chen immediately, or we vote to remove you as CEO. A beat of silence. Then David laughed, cold, sharp. You'd force me out over this? Whitmore smirked. Your father built this company on integrity. You've turned it into a tabloid joke. Sophia's stomach twisted. This was her fault. She stood abruptly. I'll resign. David's head snapped. Toward her. No. But she was already walking out. David caught her in the elevator. He jammed his hand between the closing doors, forcing them open. What the hell was that? Sophia's vision blurred. You heard them? It's me or your company. Then I choose you. She froze. What? David caged her against the elevator wall, his voice raw. I spent my entire life building what my father wanted, meeting their expectations. But you. His thumb brushed her cheek. You're the first real thing I've ever had. Her breath hitched. David, you can't just watch me. I'm not claiming. I'm not losing you. The elevator dinged. Lobby level. Outside, a mob of reporters waited. The flashbulbs erupted as soon as the elevator doors opened. Mr. Blackstone, are you stepping down? Sophia, did you seduce him for the promotion? David's arms snapped around her waist. shielding her from the cameras as his security team muscled through the crowd. But Sophia had had enough. She stopped dead in the lobby, turning to face the vultures. "I earned my position." Her voice rang clear across the marble hall. "And if any of you bothered to check my work instead of my love life, you'd know that." A stunned silence fell. Then David stepped forward, his hand finding hers. "I'm keeping her bored be damned." Press went nuclear. By noon, #Blackstone scandal was trending. Pundits debated corporate ethics. Memes of David's smolder flooded Twitter. But the real earthquake came at 3 p.m. when Blackstone Enterprises' stock price inexplicably rose. Sophia had leaked the truth, not about their relationship, about the numbers, her meticulously crafted reports, the ones Richard Morrison had tried to bury proved her contributions had doubled their Q3 projections. The financial world went into frenzy. Genius, analyst, or mistress? Both. Forbes blared. David watched the chaos from his penthouse, grinning as he scrolled. "You're terrifying." Sophia sipped her wine. "You love it?" He dragged her into his lap. "I do." The board folded by Friday, Whitmore called, spluttering about misunderstandings. David hung up twice before finally accepting their surrender. Sophia would stay now as VP of Strategic Development. Reporting directly to the board, Morrison was fired for harassment and incompetence. And David got everything, including her. 1 year later, the New York Times headline said it all: Power Couple. How Sophia Chen and David Blackstone built an empire in a love story. The photo showed them at their New Education Foundation gala, his hand possessive on her lower back, her diamond ring glinting under the lights. That night, against the penthouse windows with Manhattan sprawled beneath them, David nipped at her. "Ears still think you don't belong here?" Sophia arched into him, breathless. "I belong right here." And for once, no interruptions.